So the question was, what can I do at home to get better at jiu-jitsu? So getting better at jiu-jitsu is mostly changes in the nervous system. When you learn something, that's a change in the nervous system. When you improve your mobility, that's your nervous system having a more refined or expanded control over the way that signals are sent through the spine, and then muscles are told to turn on or off, bones are moved, and movement occurs. Point being, whether you're inside or outside of class, learning and getting better at jiu-jitsu is almost entirely change and adjustment of the nervous system. So with that in mind, what are some useful stimuli that we can use, or some different exercises we can do to create useful cues and signals for our nervous system for us to get better at home? There's a video on our page about how to use a Swiss ball or a physio ball to help with your jiu-jitsu. Excuse me. That's one of the best tools for getting better at jiu-jitsu, because it does not take a lot of work to create different positions on the ball. What does take a lot of work is your ability to stabilize yourself as you move through different shapes on the ball. And that really is a critical distinction. When you are working on a physio ball or a Swiss ball, the first thing to keep in mind is it's like the weakest, strongest opponent, or not, it's like the weakest, smartest opponent you would ever have. And what I mean by that is the ball is not going to be very heavy to lift, it's not very hard to pin in place, but if you are slightly unstable when you try to balance on a Swiss ball, let's say you're trying to stand up on one, it's going to let you know you're going to start falling over. So the way you use a Swiss ball is you just try to move around on top of it, put more or less of your skeleton on the ball, and see if you can stabilize yourself. If you start to fall, you'll know that, and you need to stabilize yourself and adjust. And your nervous system is gaining a lot from that. It does not require a lot of muscular strain to improve your sense of balance, to improve at home. We often get a bit confused when we have terms like, oh, I'm going to go work out, as in I must exert myself in order to have something productive happen. But we all know that jiu-jitsu is not measured in how hard you do something, but rather how effectively you do something. So we actually want to train ourselves to become more sensitive to movement by creating smaller and more subtle changes for our nervous system to adapt to. So there's things you can do with a Swiss ball are great. If you just take your belt, and I'll just grab one right here. If you just take your belt and you practice different ways to remove the slack from your belt, that is also extremely useful. One might be just to pull it across in front of you, and then as you have your grips on it, continue to turn your palms up and your biceps out, and you'll notice the slack coming out of the belt. Okay, now can you do that while you pull one towards you and push one away from you? Okay, you can do it overhead. Okay, you can do it lying on the floor as if you were playing spider guard, but your belt is a really good tool for just improving your own awareness of how much slack there is in any given position or any given situation. The fabric of our gis and our belts and stuff like that is similar, not the same obviously, but similar to the connective tissue in our body, in that it has some give, but it relies on tension to keep its structure. So kind of like the surface of a trampoline, it's not rigid like a brick house. That's not what gives it stability. It's that it's strung across that gives it stability. And that's the same with our connective tissue. That's the same with our kimono, with our uniform. So just manipulating that belt will improve your sensitivity to detecting slack in the system, in the training with you and your partner. Those are the two that I would start with, and then there is just this endless amount of mobility work that can be done, and most people have some specific areas that they could work on for themselves. As a general rule, mobilize the bottom of your feet, stepping on a golf ball or a lacrosse ball, trying to keep in mind that you should be able to stand on a lacrosse ball with all your weight on it on the bottom of your foot and not experience any pain. So if there are some hot spots, some tightness in the feet, go ahead and work those out with the lacrosse ball. Maybe post your hand on the wall while you do it. And when that's done, you're going to notice that your ability to grab the floor with your feet has gone through the roof. The side of the hip, the TFL, right here where where like the belt loops or pockets on your pants would be, that's what's responsible for keeping you stable when you're on one leg. And so that would be a really good area to open up. And then the front of the shoulder, which is often what causes shoulders to roll inward like this, causing the bicep to turn in. If you can mobilize that tissue all underneath your collarbone, just putting a lacrosse ball there or a softball maybe, and laying on the floor, and then just opening and closing, opening the thumb, turning the bicep, that will improve the range of motion and mobility there. Do that for like 2 minutes on each side, feet, hips, shoulders. Do it for 2 weeks or so, and see what kind of change you notice. It will improve the foundation from which all of your jiu-jitsu comes from. If you want more videos, please click below to subscribe. If you want to dive in deeper, you can click here to get a free video seminar I did of one of my favorite sequences from standing to submission. And if you have any questions or anything you want to see, please leave it in the comments below.